maneuvering all day around questions like this.
Hi everybody, and welcome to Gravel Union Talks, a podcast series full of inspiring stories, news and events from the world of gravel. Each month we will be talking with guests who are passionate about riding off the beaten track, adventure riding, bikepacking and gravel racing. My name is Carlo, I'm your host, and the other host is in Newcastle, UK. Olly, how you doing?
Very good, thanks. How's things there? You have a new shiny background, so you must be somewhere different.
Yes, I am. I'm in Eindhoven at the Shimano Europe headquarters. So that's it's a nice thing that we were invited to be here. For today's episode, we're going to be chatting with Rob Busser from Shimano Europe. Rob is a keen gravel rider, former professional skater also, but is a product coordinator now at Shimano, and he plays a vital role in the recent redesign of the GRX 12-speed groupset. We're hoping to get some insights from Rob into the design process and what goes on behind the scenes. But we will get back to Rob a little later. Welcome, Rob. First, over to you, Olly. How you doing? Been riding the bike on and off lately, or?
I have, yeah. I'm going out on holiday next month, so I've been doing quite a bit of training to make sure I'm fit enough. So, yeah,
where you going?
Plenty of miles. Going to the States, mountain biking rather than gravel riding, but we'll gloss over that.
Ooh, to the States. Well, I wasn't in the right gravel. I didn't do much of riding myself, but we had a great week.
Great.
So I need to get back in shape because I had a few beers in the evening. You have to admit, a few quartermonths. What's cooking on the website, Olly?
Well, seeing as we're going to be talking about GRX, that ought to be the biggest news story of the last month, and it's been in the background for a little while. But Shimano have launched 12-speed GRX, which is quite a big thing because they only happens every 3 or 4 years that a new group set gets launched. So that was a huge news story. Lots of beautiful images, lots of really interesting new tech.
Everybody was waiting.
What we're going to be talking about today.
Everybody was waiting. I mean, it was buzzing around for some time already. There's something cooking at Shimano's, but we're going to be discussing that with Rob later on. On the website, what are the most popular items of the last month?
Two completely different ones from the last month. The first one is underbiking. This was inspired by a good friend of mine who I'd ride with when I get the chance, who spends his whole time riding a cyclocross bike that's single speed and fully rigid with 33mm tyres. And I'm on a top of the range, all singing, all dancing, carbon, shiny gravel bike with electronic Di2. And I'm amazed that he spends his whole time riding what's basically an antique bike and loves it and just grins everywhere he goes, even though he's on a single speed. So underbiking is all about riding a bike that's a bit less competent than you really need and how it's fun. It's a bit more you're not so sheltered from the riding that you're doing. Everything's very visceral. You feel all the bumps. You get real kind of surround sound feel of the terrain, the riding, all of the much bigger experience, he says, and he likes the mental challenge and the physical challenge as well. So it inspired me that I thought actually quite a lot of people, and one of the great things about gravel riding is the fact that our bikes don't have suspension and they don't have huge tires and they don't have dropper posts and they don't have a lot of things that mountain bikes now come with, and it's part of what makes it fun. And you can do a trail that is not that gnarly, but you get a real buzz from it. And I think underbiking is just taking it to a whole different degree of it's hardship, but in a good way.
Yeah. So if you are listening in and are an underbiker, share your thoughts with us. Maybe we can do an article on your adventures as well. We have a big adventure of Valerio in the armchair adventure section.
We do indeed. So all of last month was all about not preparing quite as much as you should have done. And Valerio's story fitted in perfectly with this. So he, at very short notice, he had some holiday plans which were cancelled. So he thought, what can I do with the time I've got booked off work? I know I'll go and do a 700-kilometre bikepacking event in the Italian Dolomites that's got nearly 20,000 metres of climbing. And he did it really on spur of the moment. He didn't have the right kit. His bike wasn't really ready. He wasn't really fit enough. He hadn't tested a lot of the stuff that he used. And he had a really, really fun time. And he said some of it was hideously hard. And there was a lot of pushing and carrying and suffering because it was cold and wet. But he came back buzzing, and he wrote this fantastic story, and then beautifully illustrated with some black and white photos. And
the images are awesome
about it as well. And it's really captured the imagination of our readers. So I've had probably more emails come in about that and more messages on social media than any other story we've run in the last couple of months.
I think everybody can relate to that. I mean, it's crazy, but talking about the steep learning curve, this is and also the images are so amazing, and he writes really in a way that you're almost there, and he's not afraid to show weakness, which is also so nice to learn. And a lot of tips for people who want to do an ultra race is that, maybe a better preparation is better, but the story is better without any preparation. So that's on the website. The links obviously are in the show notes. Let's head over to our main guest, Rob Busser.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having us here at the Shimano Europe headquarters in Eindhoven. For me, it's like a half an hour's drive, but Olly couldn't make it. So he's back in
virtually with you.
He's virtually with us. Maybe we can start off with asking you to introduce yourself to the audience.
Yeah, that's possible. So Rob Busser, working for Shimano, already 11 years or a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Started at Shimano Benelux and now working for the product team of Shimano Europe. Mostly responsible for the gravel and the road category. And for that, in contact with our headquarters in Japan to work on the next products to come. And in daily life, I have a family with a great wife and 3 kids, which is nice, takes a lot of time, and therefore mostly I'm undertrained for any bike riding I do.
What kind of bike riding do you do?
Depending a little bit. Can be roads, can be gravel, can be MTB, depending on weather conditions and mood I'm in. Most easy from home is road riding, because for gravel I have to do a few kilometers to have really great roads. So time is sometimes limited, so then it's more easy to take the road bike, but I do all 3 actually.
And well, I know that you've been a former pro speed skater, ice skater.
Yes.
For the non-Dutch, because there's like everybody in the Netherlands knows that when you're an ice skater, speed skater, you can also you can properly ride a bike. What can you explain to foreigners? Because in the Netherlands, speed skating is a professional sport, but we're the number 1 in the world. And then maybe Belgium a bit, Italy, and some.
Yeah, it's a little bit a strange sport in that sense, but it's purely a winter sport, of course, because you need ice. So that means that in the summer, you should do something else than ice skating, which can be roller skating. But due to the activity itself, it's also quite hard for your muscles to be in that position and for your lower back. So therefore, also for endurance training, basically every ice skater, or at least in the Netherlands, they do also cycling to have endurance training and to have more training capacity in a week, because it's somehow the same muscles as ice skating. So therefore it's quite related, but you can do much more workload with bike riding than only with ice skating. So therefore, normally for an ice skater, you do more hours on the bike than actually ice skating.
Okay.
So you ride your bike in the summer, in the winter, and ice skating is only in the winter, and roller skating only in the summer. So therefore, basically, all ice skaters have quite a good relationship with cycling.
Yeah, some even made a crossover from professional ice skating to professional cycling.
Yeah, some do, or at least they are of course fit. They can ride a bike quite well, but the body is sometimes a little bit different. Depends on what kind of ice skating you do. If you're a sprinter, then cycling is maybe track cycling could be a nice option.
Yeah,
But,
okay.
the muscles, the body is a little bit
But
different.
that means that you've been cycling, well, most of your life.
Yeah, definitely.
We're at Shimano, and now your job description is product coordinator,
Officially, product planner,
planner.
which is maybe a little bit strange for other people, but it's because we are related to the planning team in Shimano Japan in our headquarters.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, it's called Shimano product planner. You can also call it product manager or product coordinator.
What I would like to know, and Olly probably also, is what does that mean? And what's your day-to-day job? What?
Yeah, so we are shortly he said we are the eyes and the ears for our headquarters in Japan for the European market. So we are in contact with bike manufacturers, with consumers, with the European market as a whole, and we want to give that feedback to Shimano Japan to have input for the next products. So when we developed, in this case, new GRX, which we just launched, we have input, we have meetings, we have communication on what should that group set look like, what is the gearing, what do we need, what kind of direction is the market going, to make sure we have the right product for the right time.
It's really interesting to get some insight, because it's, I guess, from a consumer's point of view, nobody probably knows that there's different bits of Shimano. They just think, well, I buy the components I need. They come in a box with the logo on. I don't know where they're designed or how they're designed or what goes on in the background. So that's what we're going to try and prize out of Rob, although I'm sure some of it's top secret.
Yeah, we're going to. Well, I know that we might not reveal all the secrets, but we try to. So the research and development is over at Japan.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
And probably all the United States, Europe, Japan, Asia area, all give their input to the designers.
Yeah.
But how does that process work? Do you start with the last group set and see what's there to improve, or do you go the other way around and say, well, this is what the market needs, maybe we need to redesign?
Both ways, I would say, and you come somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
It depends a little bit on situation, of course, but in general, also in Japan there are different sections. So one section maybe is working on the next product to come, but there is also a section that is just working on the next technologies that can be implemented in whatever group set that is coming in 5 years or 10 years maybe. So in general, we look to, what do we want to bring and what do we need for that? Of course, also looking to the current group set, what is good, what is not good, what can we improve? But also looking to the market, like where is the market going? Is it the same as it is now? Most probably not. And what changes do we have to make and what is the best group set we can bring?
And if you look back to the new group set, what developments did you see the last years that you took into the new development? Because we see a few trends.
Yeah, so gravel is, let's say, the previous group set when we launched it. So GRX, when we launched it for the first time, gravel was relatively new and a small category. And in the last years, gravel has grown a lot. Became quite a big category already. And still growing as well. So therefore, also the gravel market changed quite a lot. Which first we only had, let's say, the middle segment, because people wanted to buy maybe a little bit cheaper bike as a second bike, which now changed already more to people want to have a gravel bike, and it's their first and maybe only bike. Or at least it's a bike which they have as their first bike, and therefore also they want to spend a little bit more money. So therefore you see also that the gravel market is more mature, and you want to have different segments as well as on price level. Yep. And you see quite a real big segmentation in different kind of usage of the gravel components. It's gravel racing is now there, of course, but you also have bike packing, you have adventure, So there are different kind of riding styles.
Yeah, that's something that we see on the Gravel Union website as well, Ollie.
Yeah, particularly racing in the last couple of years once the UCI got involved, it's grown and grown and grown, hasn't it?
Yeah, at first everybody was not anti racing, but it's developed into a market where you see gravel racing, bikepacking, and adventure riding. But that is also translated to the product that's out on the market now.
Yes. So we try to have a good and the best setup for the different segments out there. Of course, you cannot cover everything, but I think with current new 12-speed group sets, we have great option for the 3 main segments.
Yeah, and obviously the simplest question is the GRX 12-speed. Where does it differ from the last iteration of GRX?
Yeah, so most easiest to notice is gearing maybe. So there are quite some changes in gearing options. So for one by, we basically have 2 main group sets. One by 12, of course, but with a 1045 cassette or with a 1051 cassette. So and with that, we try to cover a little bit of different range. So the 1051 is really for bikepacking, adventure. So you always have enough gearing and simplicity as well. And the 1045, we try to have that available for a little bit more racy style of gravel, where you also want to have a little bit smaller gear steps in the back with the 1045.
And then you have the 2x with even a wider range of gearing. Yeah,
so 2x is then even for bigger gear, but also with wider gearing. So actually, we have 3 pillars, as we call it. So Unbeatable, the Unstoppable, and the Undroppable. And therefore, we also try to have that naming for the 3 different segments. So the Unbeatable is with the 1045 single. The Unstoppable is with the 1051 single. And the Undroppable is the 2x system. And also there, we have a different setup in the cassette. So with the previous group set, we had 1134, sorry. Now we also have 1136 as lowest gearing. So also there you see a big step in capacity as well.
What would be your preference, Ollie?
I'm
of
really
the 3?
Hooked into 2x. I know it's not very fashionable, but I love little steps in the rear cassette, and I love the fact that it's got a hill climbing gear if you need it, and also a big gear for hammering along the flat if you need it as well.
For diversity, myself, I also prefer a 2x, to be honest, because we do all kinds of things, but I can, it makes sense for a racer, also, and for a bikepacker. Simplicity is well, you can't break your anything in the front.
No, you can't break your front derailleur if you don't have one.
But well, how do you think because you probably did some research, or your friends here in the headquarters. What's the percentages of the market, do you think, or is it too early?
Not necessarily too early. It depends also a little bit on location. So, for example, if you are living more in the mountains, then if you're going downhill, you are not necessarily pedaling that much, because it's more downhill riding and not really pedaling. So then you don't need that big gearing to go down. And as you live maybe in a little bit flatter area of the UK or Benelux market or northern Germany, then there also are flatter roads or slightly downhill. And then it also makes sense to have that big gearing to pedal still on a slightly downhill road. And that's differing. So I think for us, we can say maybe, let's say it's 50-50, more or less for single and double. Single is gaining. Also with 12 speed, you see it makes a little bit more sense still than with 11 speed, because you still have 12 options. So yeah, let's say I would say 50-50 at the moment for single and double.
And GRX can also be used in combination with mountain bike and road materials?
No, not at all. So there is compatibility with road components. So due to the shifters, there is the same pitch for the cable stroke for road and gravel components, but not with MTB components. So there's some limitations to combining those products.
So if you want to experiment and do strange things, go to a good mechanic and see what's possible and what's not possible.
That's an option. But so road and gravel can be mixed.
And that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Then, if I suppose they're more similar in discipline.
Yeah, it does. And you talked about the gearing. Other differences, improvements, changes?
What is super important to understand as a consumer or as a dealer as well, with the new gearing. So we have now the 2 cassette options for 1x, which starts with a 10 teeth sprocket, so 1045 and 1051. But those are already also available in mountain bike segment and use a different freewheel body structure than the 2x system. So we call that microspline. And with road, we are based on, let's say, HG structure for the freewheel body. So therefore, you need a different freewheel body structure for 1x drivetrain in the rear than for a 2x drivetrain. So with wheels, you really have to pay attention to, is my wheel compatible for a 1x or a 2x system?
Yeah, that's a good one. Because you might not be compatible, and then you need to buy a new wheel set.
Yes. So let's say if you have a frame set already or a bike ready, and it is a gravel bike at the moment, then most probably you are using a HG freewheel body, which is compatible for the new 2x12, but not for 1x12. So therefore, there needs to be then an update. Depending on wheel manufacturer, you can maybe purchase a new freewheel body to exchange.
Yeah.
Or maybe sometimes also a new wheel set is needed. Yeah.
Okay, so if you want to change over as a rider, then you should pay attention and we'll check everything before going to your local bike shop and buying a group set.
Yeah, indeed. So next to the shifters and the crankset, everything has to be 12-speed, of course. So you need to replace that, but you also need to pay attention to the wheel set as well. Yeah.
And a while back, Olly, we had Sander also from this office, and he talked about, I think it was the last GRX. Are there specific changes in for the gravel market on not only on the gearing, but I remember Sander talking about the shifters, the
ergonomics.
The ergonomics, that's the word I was looking for. Is on that aspect changes?
And also, so what's the most visible one is the gearing, but also on ergonomics we try to change, and also there the gravel market changes. So we saw more and more, and now it's standard, but the usage of flare handlebars.
Yeah.
So the drop of the handlebar pointing outwards, and also that makes that your shifter is a little bit tilted in an angle. With current 11-speed shifters, we had then the issue or the feeling that the edge of the shifter was a little bit pointed upwards, and
because it was like
making some impression on your hand.
Yeah.
So there also we try to change and to improve the ergonomics. So the shifters, they are actually improved for flare handlebar position. So you have better ergonomics, and
so
also
there's a little slope in there. So
it's a little bit tilted.
Yeah.
So if you put it on flare handlebars, your bracket is still horizontal, so you can easily put your hands on them without any issue or long-term.
Because we're talking about product here, but all those details that we take for granted probably as a rider sometimes, and maybe we moan and groan a bit or say, "Wow, this is great." How long does it take you guys to get from one iteration of a product line to the next? Is that years, 3 years, 1 year? I don't know.
1 year, not.
No, I was thinking that it might take a while.
It depends, but I would say normally 3 to 4 years is in average. It could be 5, depending also a bit on market situation and how everything is going in Japan as well. Because as Shimano, we of course gravel is a super important category, but we also have more categories. So it should be fitted in the whole lineup as well. So somewhere normally 3 to 4 years is needed to develop a new group set.
Okay.
You must spend a lot of time, Rob, looking into a crystal ball, trying to figure out what's going to happen with gravel in the future then. Because if you look back 3 years as to what the change is, how the market is segmented, we've all gone from just having a gravel bike to now there's enduro style, there's the kind of world championship UCI style, there's people at bike pack, the trail riding, it's really diversified. And you think what's going to happen in 4 years into the future, and trying to produce products that will fit with something, you don't know what the market's going to be like. That's a heck of a lot of putting your finger in the air and hoping you get it right.
Yeah, I don't try to do it with my finger in the air, but
A bit more scientific than that.
more scientific, or at least also talking to people and be in the market and to see what kind of changes are happening. And to understand, okay, what these changes mean, that is a part of my job, of course, to see and to talk to a lot of people, and not only to your guys, but also to dealers or to consumers at events, or to a lot of bike manufacturers. If you talk to enough people, and all people say some things are similar, then you can maybe point a direction, or you can find some common grounds.
Because it's also, you have the technical aspect, but it's also even like the social aspect, is you have to listen in to people and see, like you said, if you have like a common remark made more often, then you think, okay, that's something that we need to take into consideration.
Correct. Yeah. So you don't have the clear facts, of course, what it will be in 5 years. But yeah, that's a little bit what everybody tries to do. Also, all competitors and on all markets try to do the same. What does the consumer need in 1, 2, 3, or 4 years? That's interesting.
Testing of the product is also.
I was going to ask exactly the same question, Carlo. How does testing work?
Yeah, because that's. I know that you. No, I know that you probably, or that I know that you're testing quite a lot.
Mm-hmm.
How does that work? Do you use professionals to test, amateurs, Gravel Alliance partners? I don't know.
Of course, we have a lot of sponsored riders as well, but that's more related to road racing.
Mm-hmm.
But we do have some sponsored or ambassador riders for gravel. So that's a part of that testing. But we also have test riders within Shimano Europe or Shimano America that are testing products before they are on the market, to make sure that the products are ready when they hit the shelf. So we have specific test riders that are riding for us and making reports
and there are experienced riders, because like I come to think of Formula One, which is very important that people test, but it's very difficult for somebody. If I ride a bike, I can say, well, this is a great bike.
Mm-hmm.
But I have difficulty in explaining what details are okay, what details are great, and what details maybe.
Oh yeah, that is exactly what is needed.
You need to have knowledgeable people.
There are two factors. One, they should have knowledge about details and to understand how a bike is operating and what a product should be like. That's one, and that's difficult to teach. So you have it or you don't have it.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, they have to make a lot of mileage as well to make sure the product is tested extensively. So the second part, most test riders can do. So if they can you can put them on a bike and they can ride. But the first part is difficult. So to find the right amount of riders with the right knowledge, that's not so easy. But I think we have quite a nice group of
Yeah,
of riders.
I'm thinking, Ollie, maybe they have like the Stig. You know,
Yeah, like Top Gear Stig, exactly.
Nobody knows who is their test team, and I don't think Rob wants to explain into details. But I can imagine that because if we know those people, we can make some pictures of their
Indeed.
of their group set and think. Oh,
I thought you were going to volunteer your services then, Carlo. You thought you could be the new Stig.
No, well, I could do the mileage part, but that's the only
analytical part.
No, because I'm not that knowledgeable. You are, because you put your bikes together by yourself.
Yeah. So I'll volunteer, Rob. If you ever need a new Stig, I could volunteer my services.
Okay.
The product is out now, and I've been reading quite some bicycling magazines, and everybody's picking it up as a major news item. Is it? Because I need to ask: is it available on short notice? What's?
It is available, but not in big numbers yet. But it is already available in the shops. Yes.
Okay, so check out your local bike shop.
Yeah.
Let me see. There's one thing that stands out to me is that there must be a reason, but there is no. It's all mechanical shifting.
Yes. So mechanical is of course a little bit more affordable than electronical shifting, and that's also what we try to do with GRX at the moment, is to bring GRX really to the masses, to the big audience, to a lot of people to enjoy riding gravel. And that's also why we now bring GRX first as mechanical group sets to make sure we have that bigger audience on 12-speed GRX. And even we just touched on the Unbeatable, the Unstoppable, Undroppable, which is all there for the 12-speed series. So we have basically two levels even. So we have the RX 820, so high-level mechanical on Ultegra level. But we also bring a few components on a lower price level with the RX 610 series, with a little bit more affordable crankset and shifters, to make sure also there that the average bike price of GRX can also be lowered again. So to have that bigger audience attracted to gravel riding.
So there's like a company decision. You have like a first step level entrance riders that have an affordable bike, and a higher level, but eventually there will also be electronic shifting available.
As I explained, of course, gravel is growing, and people are more buying a gravel bike as a first bike, also making sure that also the average bike price going up, and they also want to spend money also on electronical shifting for sure. So when we come, I cannot say, but of course we're also working on something like that.
Well, we want to know.
That was a good try, Carlo, there, but unfortunately it's not that easy to get straight.
Maybe you can take the rebound and try again. No, it's probably I think it will be there something. Well, we have to just wait and see.
Kind of related to that, Rob, but in a totally the opposite way. One of the changes that Shimano have made recently is to go more environmentally friendly. So I'm thinking, for example, packaging on if you buy disc pads or you buy pedals or any of your components now come in cardboard packaging rather than so much plastic, which is a brilliant thing. Just for all sorts of positives from it. But compatibility of components is kind of the opposite of that end, in that a lot of stuff isn't cross-compatible. Do Shimano consider that when riders perhaps haven't got enough budget to buy a completely new group set, they want to, I don't know, they've got an old derailleur, will it work with the new shifters or vice versa? How much thought is given to trying to make stuff compatible, or is it all about making it as good as you possibly can, and so you need to have everything that's new so it plays nicely together?
Compatibility is definitely one of the key points to consider when developing a new product. Of course, when there is a clear technology we want to implement or we want to have it in the group set, then you should consider what kind of consequences it has, and does it bring enough value to lose compatibility? Then definitely we will do. But also in the past we already saw, for example, with the launch of the current Durace and Ultegra, you could already see that we have for Durace, which at that time we had the marketing, we had no compromise. So Durace should be the best of the best, and therefore we also had a lighter hub system with a different freewheel body. But that meant that that freewheel body is not compatible with 11 speed. But therefore also we made the cassette, we made it compatible with the new freewheel body, but also with 11 speed HG freewheel body. So still people that wanted to have the update for 12 speed, they could go and keep using their current 11 speed wheels. And that is more or less a little bit the same now also with GRX. So we have updated the cassette to the new structure, but that structure for the 2x setup is still compatible with the old wheels. And then you go to the 1x system. There we really want to have a big change in gearing wise. So using the 10 teeth sprocket, so a 1045 and a 1051 cassette. And therefore, that was just not possible to keep that compatibility with current wheel sets. So there we decided this is such a big improvement. We need to disconnect the compatibility and go for the next step.
Okay.
Well, yeah, obviously you need to make some tough decisions now and again internally. And because we were talking about the testing and people test on the road, what's the input mechanics have? Because probably with new technology, they also need to be aware of what's possible and what's not. Do you have people from shops working with you, bike shops, I mean?
Or neutral support maybe at events.
All different kind of actually both or more than that. So we have, at Shimano, we have a really wide reach in dealers, in events. So we have our event team who are going to each event and also see what happens and also have issues reported or feedback from the market. But we also have a really good service team in Europe, which is communicating with all our sales officers and distributors, which are giving feedback. And they have issues, they have warranties, they speak to the dealers, to all the mechanics, and they also give feedback. So we talk to all different kind of parties, and there also we see, indeed, it should not only be a better or lighter or a more stiff product, but it should also be easier to service, or it should be quicker to set up, or it should be less environmental pollution, for example. So there are different kind of feedback we try to get from dealers, from mechanics, also of course pro team mechanics at racing. All kind of different levels actually.
Loads of input, Olly.
Yeah, it must be. It's a heck of a juggling act, isn't it, to try and take all those different points of view.
I was just thinking that. I mean,
it's
really complicated. Well, yeah, not only from the research and development part, because you probably people in Japan do the technical.
So I'm just giving feedback and make sure that we have the right input to Japan, what we need for the European market, and they are actually designing and manufacturing the products itself. How
many people work, on a project like this from an engineering standpoint?
Difficult to say sometimes. Let's say there's for each product there's at least one person in charge, but normally there's a team behind. So there's one team for the rear, one team for the front, one team for the brakes, one team for the wheels. So there are many different people involved in different layers, so to say.
Yeah. And then
enough.
you have the technical design, the research and development, but there's also the manufacturing part. It also needs to be made.
Yes, you can think a lot of nice ideas, but in the end, it should be possible to make in a production way and in mass production as well, of course. Should be a little bit efficient.
Yeah, I can. It's really complicated. We'd rather keep it at hosting podcasts, don't we, Olly?
Yeah,
Or
somewhat
riding bikes.
easier.
It's not definitely not our job. Do you have any other questions for Rob? You know,
The only other one I could think of, Rob, is whether you do any testing of your competitors and what products they're putting out in the gravel world. Do you have a big bin somewhere full of snapped parts from the other people that you've tested to destruction?
I'm not testing to destruction myself, but of course, I also want to know what our competitors have. How does it ride? How does it feel? So, am I testing competitors for sure? And is Japan testing competitor products in detail? I think so.
Okay. So there's also some taking very good notice of what's available out there in the market. I haven't tested it yet. Did you test the GRX 12 speed already?
No, I'm afraid not.
I will this weekend because I have a test bike available. So I will do my my very short, probably feedback. I like it, don't like it. That's my kind of testing. So, and I would love to do some mileage, but then I need to have the group set made available to me as a tester. That's an open question, Rob.
Okay.
We will also because the survey is we have a yearly survey. It will be online maybe when you're listening to this in early October. So we probably are looking back to the old setups, and we can't look forward to the new ones. But we do a yearly survey, and 1x, 2x, and we also see developments there. Is that people? There's a tendency to have more 1x's, and as Olly said, we're the old-fashioned blokes, and we still do.
It'll be interesting to see, won't it, what the split is this year when we look at it.
Most certainly, we will also have a big article when all the results are in, and you can win a bike. Olly,
a cube.
A cube bike. To be honest, with the old GRX group set.
Yeah, but it's perfectly good, isn't it? But as Rob said before, you can get stock of the 12 speed, but it's not. There's not huge volume of it yet. So yeah, it's going to be an 11 speed one.
Next time around for next survey next year, we will have a GRX 12 speed available on the bike. Talking about bikes, Rob, we always ask the same questions. Question at the end of the interview. What if you could choose one bike only? You probably own more. I know in average every Dutch guy has like 4 bikes, city bikes mainly. What would be your weapon of choice?
Can I have 2 wheel sets?
Olly.
Yeah, I think we'll allow that.
Yes.
No, I think a versatile bike I would choose to be able to ride on the road and on the gravel. MTB for me anyway. It's in my area where I live is not super. So let's take a 2x versatile gravel bike
with 2 wheel sets,
and then additionally a road wheel set to put in.
Great.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you. That's. Are we is that an answer to our satisfaction, Mr. Townsend?
That's very good. Oh, Rob, you've been brilliant. You've given us loads of good insight without giving away too many top secrets.
Yeah. Well, we're the headquarters, but in planning, I think that there's a non-disclosure agreement in Rob's contract. So he's probably better off keeping things.
It is interesting though to think somewhere in Japan they're already planning for 2027 or 2028.
Yeah,
that's a pretty scary thought.
That's amazing. I mean,
maneuvering all day around questions like this.
Yes, I know. You probably get more than one, and we tried our best. I didn't get there, but anyway. Well, thank you very much, Rob. Thank you for having us here in the headquarters of Eindhoven. And hope to see you around next time with the new iteration of GRX, maybe.
Oh, maybe. It was a pleasure being here.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a wrap, at least for the interview with Rob. Thanks again, and thank you for joining us on this month's edition of Gravel Union Talks. If you have any suggestions for guests or topics you would like us to feature in future shows, then please post a comment on our Facebook page or get in touch through the website, Instagram, or send an email. info@gravelunion.cc and Mr. Townsend will answer it personally. Or do you?
I do.
Yeah, sure. We try to fit it in our schedule. We're always on the lookout for new guests. Please like and star us on your favorite podcast platform and make sure to leave your hopefully positive remarks. Don't forget, if you like what you've heard in this episode, there's lots more great stories, features, news pieces, and all the latest gravel event information over at the Gravel Union website. Special thanks to Martijn for designing the jingles and Ruben for editing the show. Thank you all for listening in, and hope you can join us again for the next episode of Gravel Union Talks. Cheers!